synergy of CDM. Without further ado, could you please put your hands together for Dave, who's going to present.
Good evening. I think it's evening, isn't it? Yeah. Good evening. Okay. Synergy of CDM 2015 and BIM. And for those of you who aren't aware, CDM stands for Construction Design and Management Regulations, and BIM is Building Information Modelling. Basically, the idea is I'll look at what bits of what CDM requires, what BIM requires, and try and put these two things together. And hopefully, you'll agree with me that if we use BIM processes on a project, not incorporating health and safety information into the BIM process is a missed opportunity, a huge missed opportunity. And I'll also be talking about PAS 1192-6, which, strangely enough, I'm not going to give the full title because it's a big long one, but it's incorporating health and safety information into a 3D model. So that's fundamentally what I'm going to be talking about. I'm representing BIMSafe today. I'm the Managing Director of BIMSafe. I'm also the Managing Director of CallSafe, because what BIMSafe is a collaboration essentially between two organisations. CallSafe Services, who bring the health and safety and construction expertise to the party, and Cassidy Forsyth, who bring the 3D modelling and BIM processes to the party. So basically, it's people who actually use these processes who have put this thing together. We've used professional applications developers to actually put it together, but hopefully when we get to the end of the presentation, you'll see some of the things we've actually been doing. Okay, well, let's have a look at the fundamentals of BIM. And it's only required, BIM is only required to be applied on projects that are funded by central government. So it's not a legal requirement to apply BIM to a project, but it's a government requirement where they're funding a project. And that's been level 2, because there are various levels that we go into. I'm not going to go through the levels, that'll take about another 3 hours. Okay, but we're level 2, which basically means that everything is interactive, electronic, and one of the important things about BIM is a common data environment, that essentially everything to do with a project is in a single location, that everybody working on the project can actually get to it, and it's the latest stuff that's there. For those of you who've been involved in construction in the past, you've probably had the same experiences as me of actually constructing things to an out-of-date drawing. And part of the BIM process is to stop that happening. So the BIM process then should create a common language that's applicable to everybody. And one of the things we'll be setting up at the beginning of the BIM process is what formats we're going to use, what units we're going to use, how emails are going to be sent, what subject lines are going to be on it, so that we don't end up halfway through the job and then trying to figure out how to actually do it. Allows decisions to be data-driven by this single version of the truth. Again, most construction projects, if you've got 6 different organisations working on it, you've got 6 different versions of the truth. With BIM, because it's a common data environment, it should be a single version of the truth. There are the benefits by using data and embracing efficient use of technology. So BIM is a process that uses technology. BIM is not just technology. It's about communicating effectively in the project team. And bring processes, people and technology together to create a more effective project. Why is the government wanting us to apply BIM to their funded projects? Because they reckon that it will save at least 20% of construction costs if we do it. So the government actually aren't that interested in health and safety per se, they're just interested in saving money. So we've actually now seen that a lot of private organisations, private client organisations are jumping on the BIM bandwagon because essentially they can save money. There's an upfront cost, I mean, you can't get away from that. But if we can stop one mistake happening in construction, we'll probably pay for all the upfront costs in one go. Because do we tend to build everything twice in construction? We build it once, fine, we've not quite got it right, and build it again. Okay, so the BIM requirements, and I'm using the new terminology, nothing ever stops here. We've now got international standards for some elements of the BIM process. There used to just be British standards and public available specifications, but the first two, BS 1192 and PAS 1192-2, have now been replaced by international standards. So BSE and ISO 19650-1 and -2, and they've actually changed one of the titles. So we used to call this thing an EIR, we still call it an EIR, but it used to stand for Employers Information Requirements. It now is called Exchange Information Requirements. The reason behind that is a number of countries outside Great Britain don't understand what an employer is. So they call it exchange instead. We then have BIM execution plans, that's still called the same. And the idea is the client organisation puts the exchange information requirements together. So going back to what I said before about the formats and rules for emails, the common data environment, the units we're going to be using, software we're going to be using, they specify all of that in the EIR. And the team, the project team, respond to those requirements with the BIM execution plan. So the client will say, well, we want you to do it that way, but the project team will put together the exact method of actually doing it. So, for instance, going back to the PAS 1192-6, the client may turn around to people in the EIR and say you've got to comply with the PAS 1192-6. Doesn't tell them how, but the project team may then respond to that in the BIM execution plan by saying we're going to use something like BIMSafe to be able to do that. We have also information delivery plans and a responsibility matrix, formerly which is called the information delivery table, but fundamentally it says what information is going to be required on the project, who is going to produce it, when they're going to produce it by, who's going to review it. I think this is sort of called project management, isn't it? Okay, so the BIM standards, you can actually get most of these things free of charge. From that web address at the top there, you can get all of the ones except for the two that have now been replaced by the international standards, because you've got to buy them. Okay, but the rest of them is still available free of charge over the internet. So it's like you've got the web address there to go and get them. So it runs down to number of parts down to 6. So PAS 1192-6 is the latest one, which its full title there is Specification for Collaborative Sharing and Use of Structured Health and Safety Information Using BIM. Stick health and safety into BIM. Okay, extract from the international standard. The client should nominate individuals to undertake the information management functions on the project. Initially it will be done by the client, but then also may be done by the project team. Establish the project's information requirements. Establish the project's information delivery milestones. Establish the project's information standards. Also state what the project's information production methods and procedures are. Establish the project's reference information and shared resources. Establish the project's common data environment. establish the project's information protocol, and lots of other stuff. So that all that, in its broad terms, will be incorporated in the EIR by the client or on behalf of the client by somebody who actually knows what they're doing. And that will be responded to in the BIM execution plan. A lot of these things, for those of you who are familiar with CDM, actually come under the remit of the principal designer. Things like who's going to, or how we're going to communicate, who's going to communicate with whom, how information is going to be provided, who's going to provide it. That's all part of the principal designer's job. So I think it's fairly obvious then that the principal designer has got to be involved in putting this together. I say got to be, there are lots and lots of projects out there currently operating under the BIM processes where the principal designer has been excluded from this process. I really do not understand how the principal designer can do their jobs properly without being involved. Okay, the hierarchy of information, this is an extract from the International Standard Part 1. So we start off with the organisation information requirements, the project requirements, the asset requirements, because this actually runs post-construction as well. So we actually get into the asset management bit. That all contributes then into the exchange information requirements, which ends up in the asset information model and the project information model. So the bottom one right-hand corner, that's when we're doing construction. The top one right-hand corner is for doing facilities and asset management post-construction. Okay, and all of that feeds into the BIM execution plans. That's about the quickest summary anybody's ever done on BIM. There are lots and lots of other bits and pieces of BIM that we need to get in touch with. I haven't brought the standards with me because I did a manual handling assessment and decided it wasn't worthwhile. But essentially, if you pile them all up, if you print them out, they're about that thing. Okay, so it takes a bit of reading and instruction to get your head around all of this lot. But it is a good idea. Right, for those of you who aren't fully familiar with CDM 2015, one of the fundamentals of CDM 2015 is that we cooperate, coordinate and communicate effectively on the project. Which means we're supposed to speak to each other, we're supposed to swap information, make sure that we're actually all working to the same premise. Which might be a good idea, and I think a good health and sort of project objectives we should have for any project is to deliver the project on time, on budget, to the necessary technical and quality standards, and without hurting anybody. So I think that should be the project objectives for anybody, on any project, whether it's BIM or not, we should be actually doing that. The client has to provide something called pre-construction information, which is information about the site and the management and the interactions between people and who else is involved, other stakeholders, other duty holders. The client is responsible for providing that information. They may be assisted in doing this by somebody called the principal designer. But they have to provide it. The principal designer must collate and distribute the pre-construction information to others. Now here we have a slight conflict here about from BIM to CDM, because BIM is saying we've got to send these things, and the EIR will actually say how information is distributed. The BIM execution plan will put some more flesh on that, but then we've also got the pre-construction information, which is required for the principal designer to distribute. So it seems to be a perfectly reasonable idea then that stick the two together so we don't have two lots of people doing exactly the same thing. All permanent works designers must coordinate their designs with other designers, including temporary works designers, which has not been very effective up to now. Given that the CDM regulations have been around since 1995, we haven't really quite got that bit sorted. But temporary works designers are also duty holders, designers under the CDM regulations. And all designers must cooperate and coordinate their designs with others. Now the problem we have with that is most temporary works designers are actually employed by a contractor. And we don't get the contractor on board until the design's finished. This is the permanent works design. If we actually go down that route, it's totally impossible to comply with the designer's duties under the CDM regulations. So that needs to be addressed. And I know this gets a little bit complex contractually, but that's exactly what we've got to do. So the old traditional form of contract, where we design it, we go out for tender, then we construct it, does not comply with the CDM regulations. Unless we have an arrangement in place that the permanent works designers are still contracted when we have the contractor involved, and we are willing then to change the permanent works design as a result of the temporary works design. So, can't separate design and construction. It's a project we're dealing with, not separate silo type management systems. And that is required obviously by CDM 2015, and also another document, BS 5975, which has just been renewed this year, so we're now BS 5975 2019, which is the management arrangements for temporary works, or at least part 2 of that standard is the management arrangements for temporary works. All designers must provide